Hi, welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo show. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray, and as always, it's exciting to be able to have you guys join us. Hey, we got a great show for you today, and we're kicking off Black History Month. So, this is a really important and exciting show that we have for you today. I want to thank all of you who are tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Thank you guys so much for being here. For those of you who are not my lifers, those who are with me every week, I want to remind you that if you're on YouTube or Facebook, that you can put comments in the section where it says comments if you have a question for my speaker. So just make sure that you tune in, you turn that volume up, and that you're ready to go. The show today is being brought to you by Richmond Neighborhood Housing. Now, again, I told you didn't get the memo. It's a very interactive show, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of your comments. And I see some of you already on. Thank you so much for being here. We'll do our very best to respond to your questions and or show your comments as best we can in the next 55 minutes. So let me introduce you to our guest. Our guest today is Miss Faye Miller Thomas, and she's the president of the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association. And I want to welcome her to the show. Miss Faye, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Miss Gloria Ray Bailey. Appreciate you having me on your show.
Yes, you are very welcome. We're excited to be able to have you. And I want to just start out with you giving our viewers a little bit of a brief background about who you are and this important critical role that you're playing as the president of the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association. Because I'm going to bet there are a lot of people that don't know what the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association is even about. So let's start with you giving a little bit of your backstory and background.
Thank you, Mrs. Doris
Okay, so
Bailey
Miss,
Ray.
all right. So let's start with you talking about who you are, Miss Faye. You grew up in Arkansas.
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready for this.
All
You
right.
guys know three scores, one decade, few years ago, I was born Faye Etta Miller in Little Rock, Arkansas, to the loving parents as the third child to John and Juanita Woods Miller. From there, I went on to George Washington Carver Elementary School and then to Dunbar Junior High School. And I graduated from Horace Mann High School in 1961. From there, I went on to spend 56 years of marriage with Mr. Lindsay Thomas in Oakland, California. From that marriage, we had sons, Lindsay the third and Royce Anthony, plus six grandchildren, one of which is Alani Thomas, who lives here in Sherwood, Arkansas with us. I want to say, during my time in Oakland, California, I became a member of the National Dunbar Alumni Association, where I was the co-chair in 1993 for their reunion of the classes in San Francisco, California. Thereafter, I became a third vice president and then their president. After retiring, I guess about 40 some years in California, after 40 some years, Lindsay and I decided to immigrate on back home to Arkansas, where we reside now in Sherwood. But coming here, I became a member of the National Dunbar Alumni Association. And having been the, I guess there's recording secretary for a few years nationally. I got elected to the position of president of the whole National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association because that was the year 2009 when it merged the two organizations, the two alumni organizations. And here I am now, Faye Miller Thomas.
Okay.
Hello, y'all.
All right. All right. Well, Miss Kay. But you know what's interesting, and what I really wanted you to get into, you served several roles within the National Dunbar. But what's the backstory around how the National Dunbar Alumni, National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association even came to be? So because there's history around that people need to know and to understand before we jump into talking about life as a black student in an all black school. So how did this association come to be?
Well, what a lot of people don't know were we were a community here in Arkansas in Little Rock.
Okay.
Around it was a community, churches, schools, the all. It was education was our foundation, and to bring us together, former students of Dunbar High School, Dunbar Junior High School, Dunbar Junior College, Mann High School, and all our kin people and stuff. We decided way back. They decided. I should say they decided in 1979 for the social interests and charitable, educational, and other interests to come together to form the organization. From there, it went from Dunbar National Alumni Association to the Horace Mann Alumni Association. And when it merged in 2009, here we are, the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association.
Okay. All right. Well, that is really good and interesting to know because these two schools, one of the questions I said I wanted to hear you talk about was Black students and how they thrived in an all Black environment because Dunbar and Horace Mann, they were. They were schools. They weren't integrated at the
I'm
time.
sorry,
Can you, are you able
Ms.
to hear
Ray,
me?
I didn't understand your question.
Dunbar and Horace Mann, they were schools that were not integrated. Is that correct? The schools weren't integrated. Miss Faye, are you able to hear? Okay, you guys, seems like we're having some technical difficulties here. And let's see if we'll be able to um, get her back. And hopefully she will, I know that streaming services in certain places are a little crazy. And yes, thank you. She is buffering, but and so I'm not quite certain. Some of you aren't able to hear, but others are able. So here she is. We've got her back. So Miss Faye,
Yes,
hello.
ma'am.
All right. So the question was, as related to Dunbar and Horace Mann, these schools were not integrated at the time that you guys were there. And so I wanted you to talk about what life was like thriving in an all black school, in that all black environment. What was that like?
It was heaven. It was what we are now. those of us who remember, we were family.
Mhm.
We were family. Our teachers cared for us. They wanted us to have the best, and they provided the best.
Mhm.
Our teachers were the best at that time.
Okay.
Even our principal, Leroy Christoph, that guy was the only principal in the whole state that had a PhD. Most of our teachers had bachelor's and master degrees, and
Mhm.
those teachers were our family and our community, and they were in our churches. We were all one community, and they pushed us to be the best that all we could be.
Mhm.
And what I can say is, it will never be an environment of that type
Okay.
again.
Yeah. So you felt like that those teachers, what I hear you saying is that they cared. They were immersed in your education. It wasn't what we probably see now, where kids just go to school and you don't have that same type of parent participation, parent teacher participation, or anything like that. So when we talk, let's talk about the curriculum that you had. What kind of curriculum or types of classes that, and these classes of course included Black history, I understand in my research in school.
My most memorable experience was Black History,
Okay.
and that was with my teacher, Mrs. Scott. However, answering your question regarding whatever the school provided, they provided everything a student would need to be able to live within outside the outside of school. They had carpentry, bricklaying, seamstress, everything that would prepare you to survive outside of the school environment. And that's one of the things that's not offered today. Um, they're just lost. Once they graduate, they don't know which way to go. Those who don't have scholarships or whatever.
And we do know that a lot of children aren't all set out to go to college. Doesn't mean that they don't have a capacity, but they aren't able um, to go to college. And that's why it was so important. One of the slides I was showing was you talked about carpentry. You talked about even home, we called it home economics, but you know, men learn how to cook just like women had to. So these are tools and skills that were really, I think, critical growing up and that we needed. And it's, as you said, survival. And, some of the comments are, yeah, need trade courses today. So let's talk for a minute, Miss Faye, and go down to, you know, also in school, Black students didn't have the same types of things that their white counterparts had. So, how did that affect them not having state of books or equipment, that their white counterparts had access to?
Actually, to be honest, as a student myself, we were not aware of what we did not have.
Mhm.
We worked with what we did have that was provided to us to excel. And that's how we are right now today,
Mhm.
surviving on what we have. Back then, yes, the white students had everything, all kinds of exciting, labs set up for them to do this, that, and the other. We did not have that. We didn't have any of the same resources. We had to use the books left over from them,
Mhm.
and we still excelled with that because our teachers who worked with those books knew more than what was in there, and they provided us with a lot of information that was not even available in the books we did not get.
Mhm.
that made sure that we excelled in life.
Right. Yeah. Well, that comes through very much so with the pride that you and others that I have met that are part of the National Dunbar Horsemen Alumni Association. And it's the sense of pride that all of you have that I mean, it's undeniable when you get a group of all of you together. So, but at the same time, your teachers were giving you things, but did you, as a student, feel that as a Black student, you attending an all Black school, that you had challenges when this transition came to integrating schools?
Well, actually, when the transition to integrating schools occurred, I was a sophomore and I had to go to schools in a different city in order to continue my education. So, therefore, no, I did not know about that transition. I never experienced it. However, later on, after I left Arkansas, after graduating in 1961, I did encounter experiences where my education in Arkansas did mean a significant amount to me. And it was so powerful, I was more qualified for certain jobs than people who had degrees much higher than I ever expected to rise to. So, back to your question, um, no, it was not a significant change.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're talking about having been prepared. Your teachers had prepared you. And with that, I would guess that the expectations of those teachers were that everybody was going to excel. Nobody would be left behind. Would that be a correct assessment?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, Miss Faye,
Nobody was left behind.
right. Okay. Well, that's why we want to talk to you and have your view on what's going on. But before when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, let's talk about, because everything, it was it was important to have you on the show because everybody hears a story about the Little Rock Nine, but we need to give them some back history about where the Little Rock Nine came from and that whole thing around Central High School. So when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. You guys don't go anywhere. I see your questions and your comments. Thank you so much. But we're going to take a really quick break. We're here with Miss Faye Miller Thomas, who's the president of the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association. And you know what? We're just keeping it real today about some Black history that's all of us, because I'm picking up some things from Miss Faye, even myself, regardless of history that I have did research on. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Miss Faye, don't you go anywhere.
Let's get back to talking smack with a side of mac and cheese. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. To get the facts, visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you.
All right. If you guys are just tuning in, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We're here with my awesome guest, Miss Faye Miller Thomas, president of the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association. And before we went to break, Miss Faye, I had said I'd like for you to talk about the Little Rock Nine, Central High School. You know, that was a national event, and that's what, I think a lot of people, when they think about Black history, this is what they think about. But I want people to walk away with knowing that Dunbar and Horace Mann, they gave an education bar none, with subpar. And as you said, you didn't even know. It's kind of like you don't know that you were poor, right? We never knew we were poor until somebody said, "Oh, you're actually poor." So it's a matter of how you see it and how it's being laid out. But would you talk a little bit about those students who went to Central High School at this particular point in time in history? Are you able to kind of enlighten us a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. I love Thelma Mother Shed Ware. She's one of my best friends even today. She was one of the Little Rock Nine. Little Rock Nine were, oh, they're very precious to all of us. Their roots are from Dunbar Junior and Dunbar High School. These people that you guys know as the Little Rock Nine are Dunbar. Dunbar High School, Dunbar Junior High School. And as I said, Miss Thelma Mothershare Ware is one of my best friends. And therefore, I want to say Central High School that gave them the acknowledgement of being a Little Rock Nine was all about desegregation and racism. However, their roots came from Dunbar, Dunbar High School, Dunbar Junior High School, and their roots will always remain there. That's where they started, and that's where we're bringing them back to. However, left behind were numerous other classmates who have done significant things out in the world and the community, and those before them are the ones I want to really recognize that really puts Dunbar High School on the map, that should remain on the map. It's all about our history and what it has brought to the United States of America. You understand?
Yes,
And we
ma'am.
continue. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, we have one question from a viewer, and they're asking, was Dunbar a Rosenwald school?
Dunbar High School is one of the Rosenwald High Schools, as well as Dunbar College, Junior College, and Dunbar Junior High School. They all three are Rosenwald schools. And right now, there's a Rosenwald Act of 2020 that was presented, hoping that these three schools could be included with other Rosenwald entities to get recognition under the Forestry Department as a museum, the same as Central High School.
So, with the Rosenwald schools, are you aware now within Little Rock? Uh, were there a number of schools that were built? And a backstory about who Rosenwald was.
Rosenwald was a founder and owner of Sears Roebuck, and he was an entrepreneur and etc. and believed in public education. And his foundations supported about 339 Rosenwald schools all through the South that would help with the education of black students, black children. And one of the things I want to say is Dunbar High School was one of the only ones that was a brick and mortar school. Most of all the other schools that were under the Rosenwald Foundation that were built were just two-room schools and etc. However, Dunbar was a brick and mortar. Okay.
Wow, that's amazing that someone took up the charge to build schools. I know growing up in a little town called Malvern, there's a Rosenwald school there. My reminds me of that elementary school. So the fact that these schools were being built all around, and I just wonder how many of you that are listening even knew that, right? So that's why I was saying, let's get some history, some serious Black history in here and talk about, because a lot of the people on here are from Little Rock or you hail from Arkansas. And so I see your comments. And this is important information that we really need to get out and to talk about. And so to know that these schools existed and what happened within, the walls of these schools is, I mean, to me, it is life changing. So, Miss Faye, let me ask you this. Let's talk about the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association. When this association first kicked off, how many chapters were there?
Thank you for asking. The National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association currently only has 6 chapters. We started with one, and we went as far as they have 11 chapters nationwide
Mhm.
because of our membership declining due to, well, we I don't want to say it, but due to the loss of us aspiring and people becoming debilitated and etc., we are now down to just 6 chapters,
Yeah.
and we realize that will happen eventually,
Hmm.
you know, because we have not grown to the point where we have a feeder group coming in.
Right.
You know, sororities and fraternities have feeder groups coming in from colleges and etc. But our alumni, we don't have feeder groups.
Hmm.
So therefore, we are trying to sustain our history, and we remain actively with 6 chapters, and they are the Little Rock chapter, which is the home base,
Right.
Chicago, DC, uh, Los Angeles, San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
And that's where you are a member, so I'm not going to forget you.
I was saying, okay, San Francisco Bay Area, let's not forget about us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I cannot forget you. But there are 6 chapters remaining from 11. And the
Yeah.
main reason for the decline is because of people becoming, debilitating, etc.
Yeah.
And we never achieved our dream of having it to grow when we merged in 2009.
Hmm.
And mainly that was because we had a nationwide chapters for the National Dunbar Association, but we only had Little Rock for the Horace Mann Alumni Association.
Right.
So the membership didn't grow like we thought it would.
Yeah.
However, it is remaining and is active and is alive, and we're
Yeah.
kicking.
Right. Well, you know what? We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, and on that note, we're going to talk about some things that are happening there in Little Rock and where I want people to be able to go on vacation and know they can visit these historical sites and see all of the artifacts and things. So you guys don't go anywhere. We're here with Miss Faye Miller Thomas, the president of the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association, and we're just talking, keeping it real, and talking about Black history with our Black students. So we'll be right back. Thank you guys for hanging in here with us. Appreciate you.
Hmm, maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Because the fight isn't over yet.
You will see me choose to protect my community by wearing a face cover.
And even with my face covered,
you will see me.
As a son.
As a man with a never quit attitude.
As a fighter for change.
Join me in wearing a face cover.
To help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because this is one small act of kindness
that has the power to make a big difference.
Okay, if you guys are just tuning in to You Didn't Get the Memo, look, we're giving it to you real and raw here with the president of the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association, Ms. Faye Miller Thomas. And, I want some of you younger people that are tuned in to just listen up. There's a lot that you can learn. I always say, and my mom used to always say to me, if you live long enough, you have an opportunity to walk in my shoes. And here's the thing, there's so much, we've discarded in many ways, all of the knowledge that we can get and glean from our senior members of society. And so I just want you guys to be tuned in and listen to this historical fact, because if you believe it or not, Little Rock is on the move. And they've got a lot of things going on. And before we went to break, I'd asked my guest, Miss Faye, if she would talk about, what's going on with regards to like a museum that has artifacts in there that you can go and visit. And then we're going to come back to talk about a little bit. I showed a picture of the statue of the Little Rock Nine. And guys, this is just really, really critical. Get your kids and learn this. Quit saying you don't want to know. Marcus Garvey actually said that, if you don't know really where you've been or where you going, I mean, how you going to be able to understand what's going on? And when you don't have no roots, you ever seen a tree that don't have any roots? It can't stand, right? So guys, just listen up and learn something today. So I'm excited to have Ms. Faye. I know getting her and having her be able to be on here with us, I'm just so grateful. So Ms. Faye, let's talk about what's going on in Little Rock and trying to move and get this show on the road with all of these artifacts that you guys have collected over the years from Dunbar and Horace Mann. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, certainly. We have artifacts for galore and still coming in. We have a traveling museum at the Mosaic Temple Sculpture Center that was donated several years ago by the National Dunbar Horace Mann Association. And recently, November 7th, they opened an exhibit on the education excellence, and it was featuring a lot of those artifacts. And a lot of those artifacts came from the Out of the Attic History Gallery over on 21st and Main Street. This is a family, the Al Russ, Faye Perry, Al Russ family that donated for our use. And it has a conglomerate of artifacts that will be available, as soon as the pandemic rides. But anyway, in addition to that, we have displays at Horace Mann Magnet Middle School. We have displays at Arkansas University. As a matter of fact, it's called the Dunbar Collection, and it's on display on digital, or you can go in and view it. And that is the National Dunbar Collection. Right now, we're working on getting our own official permanent museum through the Dunbar Horace Mann Archives Building Foundation, which consists of several members from the alumni. And that is kicking off right now on the website dhmabp.foundation. And you can go there and see what the mission and everything is all about. And that's going to be the eventual founding and landing place for all our memorabilia, because we are the ones who got it, and we need to keep it on display and keep it on our minds. Okay?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So you guys, those of you who are living right there in Little Rock, and I know some of you are on listening, look, you have no excuse not to go there and to visit the display. The rest of you, including myself, when you go home, that's something that we need to be able to do. And this is so, guys, I can't even tell you how important this is. So Miss Faye, let me
Yes, ma'am.
let me take you back. You know what? One of the things that I failed to mention is that the National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association, you give out scholarships. Now, come on now.
Oh,
Still,
yes.
still,
Yes,
still.
ma'am.
So talk about that. The scholarships that you give out and continue to give out, you guys. Listen up, listen to this. So, Miss Faye, talk about that.
There is a perpetual scholarship fund, and it's being administered through the Arkansas Community Foundation, through the National Dunbar National Dunbar Alumni Association. And right now, it's up to over $200,000, and it started with 50,000. And the schools who receive those scholarships annually are Valanda Smith Baptist College, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and University of Arkansas at Little Rock. So far, it has been a minimum of $2,000 each for those schools for the last 10 years or more. And they are continuing.
And the interesting thing that's different from this, how the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association does scholarships. You know, some places would give a student $50 or, $100, but you guys, we don't do that. And we follow that student through until they have actually completed college. Is that correct?
That is correct for the San Francisco Bay Area Scholarship Committee,
Right.
which does do scholarships through graduation from a 4-year college.
hmm Right. We have a question from one of the viewers. I'm going to put it on the screen. Are there records or list of students that attended Dunbar?
Yes, there is a list.
Okay. Is there a way that they would be able to find, find information, or who would they contact in regards to that?
They will have to contact our secretary, Miss Patricia B. Long,
hmm
at 1039 West 52nd Street in
Okay.
Los Angeles, California,
hmm
900037.
Okay. And I'll put that back up a little later on. So, but that's good to know. So, let's move on. Let's talk about. I'm going to put this picture up, and I'm going to let you go forward and you talk about this particular picture. Who is this?
Paul Lawrence Dunbar, he is the name of the school from which I went to junior high and would have gone to senior high if it had not been for Forbes stopping uh, that continuation. But anyway, that's Paul Lawrence Dunbar.
Oh,
He was
okay.
a black poet and novelist and writer in the 19th and early 20th century.
Mhm.
That was Paul Lawrence Dunbar.
Yeah.
He was the namesake of our organization, Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School, Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School, Paul Lawrence Dunbar National, Paul Lawrence Dunbar. He was our man.
So he was the big deal there. All right. So
Yes.
you know what? Speaking of that, though, the school board had plans to gradually desegregate incorporated Dunbar students who were transferring to Horace Mann High School. So what was that like with them talking about gradual? I mean, is desegregation ever gradual? I didn't experience that growing up as a kid. You know, we were just told this is where you're gonna go and was bus there. So I don't know what experience you had. So can you share that with the viewers?
I believe what you asked was the experience of the governor wanting to transfer some students here and there. Personally, I didn't experience it, but
Okay.
the plan didn't work. I know that
Why do you say that?
because it just was too stupid. Uh, Look, how can you make something work that don't even make sense? And his plan was to send some students over to a different school that was all shining, etc., to make everything go away. And that was not the answer. That was his way of hoping to avoid desegregation. And it just wasn't an answer, okay?
Well, okay. Well, I appreciate that. I love your candidness. So let's talk about the impact on Black students when Dunbar was closed as a high school, because Dunbar was a high school slash junior college. Um,
Yes, yes.
and that happened in around 1955.
Look, darling, it was more than the impact, it was a life change.
Okay.
Um, it sent all the senior students over to this shack of buildings they had built initially to put, I guess, our junior high students into it. But integration was up, so they had to do something with the Dunbar students that was overcrowding Dunbar, so they shipped them over there. And after that, that was 55, 56. And then integration was 57. And the way it went, Faubus closed down all the high schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. And that led to me going to uh, a high school in Nelson High School in Scott, Arkansas. I never heard of Scott, Arkansas, but I went to high school there for my 10th grade year. And others went all over the place. But the bottom line is, it was no answer to the problem. The desegregation had already happened, and to avoid it going further is why he closed the high schools that year.
Wow.
And we lost a lot of classmates that year.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Now,
Not in tragedy or anything, but they just went different directions.
mhm.
And some of them never recovered from that trauma.
Right. Which that led me to the next question I was going to ask you is, with this happening, did the Black students continue to excel?
The Black students continue to excel because that was within them, not because of what had happened in with fathers and the schools closed. And yes,
Yeah.
Black students continue to excel wherever they went
Hmm.
or returned to. Yes, I can safely say Black students continue to excel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even to today, they continue to excel.
Yeah. But like I said, I've met and spoken with some of them, and the pride that comes through, and they give all the credence to the fact of their education that they got. and it's what made them who they are today, and that just keeps me inspired and moving. By the way, I do want to just show here that Miss Faye Russ put up that we can look at a traditional model of educational excellence, Dunbar High School of Little Rock, Arkansas, by Dr. Faustine Childress Jones. It was published by Howard University Press back in 1981. Thank you, Miss Faye, for that. I appreciate that. So these are the things that I want people to be able to get and to gather, because this is important. So, you know, let me just ask you this: with the the integration of the schools, because with the black schools, now one of the things, they had a serious PTA. There was some serious parent participation going on right there. Did did that change or fall off once the schools became integrated?
Honestly, I cannot address the contribution that was made by either group, but I do have a very good friend, um, Mrs. Sandra Johnson Davis, who I've communicated with over the years, who was highly involved with her kids and other students at Central High School.
Hmm.
And I know had the volume of participation was there. And she
Okay.
represented not only her kids, but everybody else's child there.
Okay.
I give that tribute to my friend, Miss Sandra Johnson Davis, because she did it at Central High School, okay?
Okay, but then you know what? It takes a village. And so she was just part of that village, and that's literally what came through. So,
Yes,
hats
ma'am.
off. Hats off to her. I really appreciate it. So, Miss Faye, listen, we're going to take a quick break. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you two questions. And it's going to be about the significance, what we want viewers to take away, and why they should understand the significance and history behind the schools. But we will be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for your comments. I'm glad that you guys are loving this history lesson that you are getting. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thank you for watching the You Didn't Get the Memo show with your inspirational host, Gloria Bailey Ray. It's your contributions that make this happen. To become a sponsor, send an email to youdidn'tgetthememo@gmail. That's the letter U, didn't get the memo. If you're not in a space to be a sponsor, but you like what you hear, we simply ask that you support what you like by making a contribution to the show. There are 3 ways to make an online donation. Visit paypal.me/Gloria Bailey Ray or Cash App or Venmo, Gloria Bailey Ray. Give what you can. Your support is appreciated.
Okay, you guys, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to tell you, you missed a great show. And I do want to remind all of you guys that you can go back and watch the entire show, the replay. Please go back, tell a friend, grab your family, whoever, and play it as many times as you like. But you can catch the replay on both Facebook and on YouTube. Now, Miss Faye, before we go to the questions that I ask you, there was a comment from one of the viewers wanting to know, what do you see as the future of educations of Blacks? What needs to happen? Okay, that's a big question.
I see as the education, future education of our blacks is that parents get more involved. And that's kind of hard when the parents aren't even educated. To be honest, how do we start to educate the parents so they can educate their children to be more involved, to make it better? This is a task that I can't give you an answer to. I just hope together we all can come together and get a solution.
I wholeheartedly agree with you there, Miss Faye, for sure, because it's critical, it is needed, and the world is changing so fast. that if we're not educated and we're not on top of what's going on, this is why you're talking about, leaving generations behind. So everyone has to be involved. But before we went to break, thank you, Ms. Faye, for that. I ask you, why should viewers know and understand the significance and the history behind these schools in particular? That's the first question. I'll stop there.
The significance of what we need to know about Dunbar Junior High, Dunbar High School, Dunbar Junior College, Horace Mann High School is this was the foundation of thousands of scholars. And our history needs to be known by our children. It needs to be known. It needs to be promoted. It needs to be continued. Our children need to know why they need to do more than what they're doing now. We stand on the shoulders of all these people behind us. And these children that we have now, our grandkids, our great grandkids, they just need to know that there is more to life than these cartoons and dances and etc. We need to promote our history, and only we can do it. Only we can promote our history. We need to stand. We need to be the ones to do it.
Yes. Amen. Amen. All right, y'all. Y'all can give a hand clap to Miss Faye on that one. So my last question, Miss Faye, as we draw to a close, this has been so dynamic. Um, Discuss what it is that you want people to take away from today's talk. What do you want? You said a lot. You actually encapsulated a lot of this in there. But if there's one thing that sticks out, what do you want people to know or to take away?
I want people to know that this podcast is the best thing that has happened in your life today, this evening, this week, this month, this year. And you should take everything that has been said here at heart. Think about it. Think about the things that were said and shared. And I want you to take from this the fact that you can come back to the same podcast to get more information in the future. And that is, did you not get the memo?
Well, go on, Miss Faith. I'm scared of you. Okay. You guys heard it. But I want to remind everybody, listen, the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association is an association that you can
Nonprofit.
it is nonprofit. And so therefore, I've been putting up the website, National Dunbar Horace Mann Alumni Association.com. Guys, go check it out. There's a lot of information there. But I'm just going to ask you from the bottom of my heart, look, let's donate to this organization. You've heard all of the things that they're going on. And I just tell you, the students who and graduates who were involved with Dunbar and Horace Mann, Miss Faye Russ, I know you're on. I'm just gonna say the all of the memorabilia, all of the everything that you have. Let me tell you, it would almost fill up the Smithsonian. You got so much stuff about National Dunbar Horseman. So, guys, you can donate. It's a nonprofit. donate to the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association. Afterwards, I will put up the information for you guys to be able to, if you're going to send a check, I'll get that information and make sure we send a check or however you need to do it. But this is the thing that I wanted you guys. To be able to sit in with and get history, none like you've ever seen it before. Miss Faye, I don't want you to go anywhere. If comments are kudos to Miss Faye. A lot of good vibes. People are saying good vibes, and it looks like one of your grandbabies was even on here. Hi, Granny.
Ah,
Lonnie Thomas. So, but Miss Faye, I don't want you to go anywhere. So don't log out. You stay right there, and I'll come right back to you. I want to say to each and every one of you, first of all, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for being here on the show. This, I think, was just so enlightening. It was enriching. It was educational. It was informational. It was motivational, if nothing else, to take away and to learn something as relates to our history. Again, I want to thank my guest, Ms. Faye Miller Thomas, who's the president of the National Dunbar Horseman Alumni Association, for being on the show today and for being real. That's who she is. I hope that all of you that are watching will continue to expand your knowledge of the National Dunbar Horsemen Alumni Association and donate to this worthy organization. If you're in the Little Rock area, be sure and plan to visit the historical places you just heard about. After all, and let me get this right, as Marcus Garvey said, and I quote, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Hey, I wanted to remind all of you guys to be sure and follow me on all of my social media platforms as Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Like and share, guys. Like and share and mark your calendars. If some of you don't have anything to do on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern, then you know what? Make this your family friendly show and hang out with me, your host, Gloria Bailey Ray, for You Didn't Get the Memo for about 55 minutes. So, you know, we are here. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. I appreciate all of you, and I want to thank all of you, both nationally and internationally. I feel you, and I see your comments. Thank you so much. It's been a blast. And as I always say, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's really you who didn't get the memo. Remember this: the quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Until this time next week, guys, be well, stay safe, be blessed. Take care.